7:06, and I'll call the meeting to order. First up, modifications and changes to the agenda. Anybody have anything?
There will be two things in other business that I gotta add.
Okay. And if that's it for changes, we'll move on to public comment. Is anybody here from public tonight? Everyone has an agenda item, right? Okay. Review and approval for minutes September 6th. If everyone got a chance to look those minutes over and didn't see anything missing or any errors, I will hear a motion
Look at me like that.
to accept them.
Oh, you're a resident proofreader.
I move we accept.
Second.
All right, Sam at first, Eli with second. All those in favor say aye. No.
That should have been September 13th, not 6th. Sorry. Just caught that.
Oh, on the agenda.
Yep.
It's correct in the minutes, it's just incorrect in the
Yeah, approve the minutes for September 13th.
Okay. Up next, Lincoln Park permit request, American Legion and Enosburg Recreation Library.
Usually the overview.
So we had two requests this time. For the Veterans Day ceremony, 11 to 11:30. Pretty sure they do it every year. That will be on Veterans Day, November 11th.
It's gonna be a lot easier. Pull that staple.
Looking for a motion?
Yeah.
I move we approve.
I'll second.
Sandy with the first and Heather with the second. All those in favor of American Legion Post 42 bandstand or permit application say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. All right, up next is Enosburg Rec.
So we just have.
Hi, I'm here with Brenda too. I see Brenda's there tonight. So we're presenting together. Brenda, do you want to kind of take the lead and I'll fill in since you're in person?
I'll try. I didn't know if John wanted to first.
Do the backdrop?
Yeah.
I guess real quick, so between the rec and the library, they're looking to work a Halloween celebration between 2:30 and 3:30 on the 29th. They're requesting use of electricity for a traveling storyteller presentation.
So the whole event would be, where the public would be, is 2 to 4. I think that's the first permit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the bandstand edition that was the 2:30 to 3:30.
I have 1 to 6.
Well, originally, we were gonna do 2 to 5, so we were saying 1 to 6. So now we're gonna do 2 to 4 for the public, so it'd be like 1 to 5.
And you guys don't have the bandstand request in your packet that came in
Later.
yesterday.
Okay.
And so this is an event that was a brainstorm to, instead of just doing like Dairy Day and Christmas stuff, let's do more events for the community. And we thought Halloween, so we do like a trunk or treat with the cars with their trunks towards the park. And then people who don't have a trunk would do a booth and have it in the park, and we'd have games, and we would love to do a children's costume parade. And Rec is gonna do a little like spooky shuffle, a little run for the kids. So it'd be like 2 to 2:30 would be the run, 2:30 to 3:30, the traveling storyteller at the bandstand, and 3:30 to 4, the parade. But the kids would be doing the trunk or treat visits all through the whole time. Abe's cabin with the Historical Society would be decorated on the outside, a little spooky. They'd be there for the kids to be able to visit that too. And we kind of would like, we don't know how this would go, right, Margo, about the streets. How, like with Dairy Day, just in front of Champlain Chevy, behind the bandstand and by the post office would be closed. For the safety of the kids, we would kind of like to see if that could be closed during that time. So
What
that
day of
we-
the week is that?
It's a Saturday, 2 to 4 in the afternoon. We're trying to think, how to keep it the most safe for all the kids and families that would be in the park. And we don't want to block Main Street or anything, and we'd have the parade go that little horseshoe, we'd have the little run be the horseshoe. So we'd keep the kids right off Main Street, and the cars wouldn't be on Main Street, they'd be backed around the other horseshoe shape.
I know that we couldn't close Mrs. Scoy in front of Champlain Chevrolet last Saturday for Harvest Fest. We had to leave. We could block off They didn't mind if we blocked off part of the end by the Masonic Temple, but we had to leave the other end open.
Who,
But
Champlain
our
Chevy?
Champlain
discussions
Chevy.
during their hours. Is this
Right, this isn't,
after
this
their-
is after they'd be closed, this is 2 to 4 in the afternoon.
Have you reached
Same thing
out
with
to
the
them?
post office. I haven't reached out, have you, Margot?
I would.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Have you reached out to Champlain Chevy at all about if it's gonna upset them to close the street from 2 to 4?
I have not yet, no.
Who would be providing traffic control? Like barriers, that sort of thing?
You
Signs.
you could ask Lions.
Yeah.
If you could borrow their orange.
I can communicate with the Lions Clubs and see what they say. I'm sure they will help because they've partnered with the library on other things before, so I know the Lions Club has always been very supportive of community type events. And since they're the pros at this, I mean, come on. So. Did you have anything else to add, Margot?
I think you covered it all. I was just trying to go through the notes that we had. I think that was everything.
We have the EBA has joined us in this, the Actions Group, the Opera House.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a big community-wide event of organizations trying to work together.
So I think this is a great idea. I do have a request though.
Yeah.
So the permit is, to me, a little bit vague, but it's also, the times aren't quite right, and the bandstand permit came in late for tonight. But we have plenty of time between now and the event. Is there any way that we could get, I guess, updated permits from whoever is putting it on, whether it be the Enosburg Rec or the library?
We're kind of partners.
Okay, so that's fine. Just get it all on one, I guess. I don't think you need to have any specific dates for, like, you know, this is when the costume parade is going to be. I think just an overview, and then get a letter if you could from the Lions saying that they'd be willing to do traffic control,
Okay.
or at least help.
Yep.
Or anybody. It doesn't have to be the Lions. I
Right.
guess it could be whoever.
When you say traffic control, do you mean somebody physically there with the barriers, or do you mean just providing the barriers to walk off the road?
Yeah, I don't think there needs to be anybody there, but there should be signage, barriers, and then the setup and tear down. Make sure all of that is.
Before the hour after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would get a hold of the Masons and Champlain Chevy and just kind of give them a heads up too.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
kind of get everything all. in a
We're
row.
okay with it.
Yeah.
I think if you email Ryan, and just ask him like what time they close on Saturday, they probably, would participate as well, maybe with the trunk, but,
That'd be a lot of trunks. They turned all the cars around.
maybe a lot of trunks.
Yeah.
My dream would be
Parents
that the
would
whole
be
horseshoe would be trunks backed up the whole way around. That would be my dream. Good part.
That would be pretty awesome.
That's a lot of cavities.
So we have our meeting is on the 11th. Well, I guess we have 2 meetings before then, but the 11th is the one that you need to have all that
Okay.
paperwork to us for. So that would be like the 5th to be
Yeah.
safe.
We can do that, right, Margot?
Oh, okay, that's fine. I can just update it. Yeah, because we changed our time a little bit, so
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, if you guys can do that, I mean, I don't see any issue why.
I think it's awesome.
No, sounds great.
Very excited.
Sounds exciting. Good.
Yeah. And were you collaborating to announce the big pumpkin?
Yeah, Abby had approached me that the winners for guys' pumpkin carving contest would happen during that event too.
Perfect.
I plan on being there with my kids.
You don't have to carve it though,
So
right?
there you get the villages partnering in this big event
How
too.
about it?
This is lovely.
And no, you don't have to carve it, you can paint it, whatever,
Whatever.
whatever.
I mean, I would recommend having somebody and doing trunk or treats in Fairfield back in the day with my kids. You would want at least 1 or 2 people helping park,
Yes.
whatever your idea of
Yeah.
parking is gonna look
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
'Cause-
Oh, yeah.
I have to make suggestions,
Yes,
like this, not like this.
and probably timeframes for them.
I mean, you're gonna, so Do you mind if I chime in? real
You
quick?
chime in, your partner.
So just as the EBA's participation is, we're going to enlist businesses. So we have a whole flyer that we're gonna take to all the businesses in town that says specifically, if you wanna do a trunk, if you wanna do a booth, contact Brenda by a certain date. So there'll be a whole, similar to Harvest Fest, a whole map that says, okay, Hull Insurance is here, the town is here. And so everybody will know when they come where their spot is, so that when they do come in, they can get parked and.
Yeah, like the village should have a trunk. I already approached the town to have a trunk.
I'm on
The
it.
village
Don't
should
worry,
have-
I was already gonna bring this up.
I mean, I reached out to historical, that's how we got Abe's Cabin gonna be a part of it.
They're excited
Mhm.
that they're already planning the decorations and Actions is partner too.
Yes.
So really, you've got the library, rec, the EBA, Actions, the Historical Society,
Opera House.
House. So it really is a great collaboration.
Yeah, sounds like a good community event.
And the Opera House is the rain spot, right?
Well, only, I hate to say it, but only if it is so heavy downpour. Because how are you gonna put trunks at the Opera House? And
Yeah, it'll still be
Yeah.
running on the trunk.
I would say this is the rain or shine, event unless it's severe weather, but
Yeah.
otherwise come trick or treating in the rain.
I mean, they'll take our
So.
kids to pouring rain
Or
and
snow, who knows?
Hey, I remember snowsuits under my
Mhm.
Halloween costume as a kid.
Yeah.
For trick or treating.
It's a little less bad.
All right, we got a plan?
Thank you. We'll get that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. EBS request for initial review of Christmas plans in Enosburg.
Yes, okay, so, I don't have formal permits for you because, I'm just not ready to get them to you yet, but I had a meeting with the Lions, specifically Dave and Tim and Brent, who worked closely on the parade last year. And the Lions are in to coordinate that again this year, so I am here tonight to ask for permission to do the parade like we did last year, off of Dickinson, up Main to Depot, around to Pleasant and back. So that's, I guess, one request, but I've never had to put a permit in for that specifically. So looking for your blessing on that again. We would of course work with the sheriff's department, like we've done in the past, to coordinate, traffic control. We do provide a couple of deputies at certain points, along with the Lions work for the parade. And then the Lions have also agreed to purchase a special electrical cording it's one long cord that has multiple drops every 10 feet to light up just the left side of Main Street.
The east or west? Left, depends
Going
on
up
which way you're going.
Going up Main Street on the left.
The west side.
Yeah, we don't wanna, I guess, deal with the right-hand side, because there really is,
Nothing.
there's really no infrastructure there. We're powering off of the poles, we're flying long distances with cable. It's just difficult. So with this, like I said, it's one cord with multiple drops to each tree, so there won't be multiple extension cords. With Paul's permission, we'll power off of his building for that line of trees, and then with Kim's permission, the 2 trees in front of her space will power off our building. So that's easy and clean. Again, like I said, the Lions are investing somewhere between $350 and $400 in that for us to do that. So I think it's a good solution to, I had a long conversation with Dave about whether we were going to do the trees on Main Street again, and we felt like this would be a solution to kind of, it's hard with moisture, and there was a bad cord last year, and so this hopefully will solve those issues. But
And Shauna will sleep.
they felt that, we've done it, and so we thought if we didn't do it, that people might be disappointed or, the expectations.
Well, when they were on, and then all of a sudden they were off, the main street looked so black, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And then we're also going to focus on more lighting in the park. So there will be obviously a permit for that. But so I wanted to just get your permission for those two things, just to deal with the lights on the left-hand side with the building owners, and then for the parade. And then just a little snippet of things that we'll be working on that we'll submit paperwork for. We want to do 3 hours prior to the parade, festival type, more of a festival with some vendors in the park, kind of make it a more winter festival feel. And then potentially, no guarantees, but potentially bringing back the community Christmas party this year at the Opera House after, with a stocking auction. I don't know if any of you remember, probably four or 5 years ago now,
Probably 5.
we did businesses filled stockings with fun stuff. And we did a silent auction of all the stockings, and we probably had between 20 and 30 different
Yeah, people
stockings.
fought over them.
And they were some really good ones. The money from, so we want to bring that back this year. And the money from that will go towards the summer concert series. So that's what that will generate. So that's kind of a little snippet of Christmas, and then just asking your permission for the parade and the lights on Main Street.
How are you looking as far as lights? Because I know we had some money appropriated.
Yeah, so that, I guess, was my, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. There is, I do have a huge supply of lights that actually I'm gonna start going through in the next week or so, plugging in to see what's good still. So we may need some funds for that. And then we also were wondering about not just lights in the trees in the park, but potentially maybe some lighted figurines or something like that, something to do different. So I guess I did have a question. I know there is a line item for holiday decorations and what, obviously I'll come back to you with some thoughts and, if I have some specific requests, but I wanted to just confirm if there was still that line item for the
So-
park specifically.
There's, right now, we have 2,300 in savings for years that the money hasn't been used, and we did budget $500. So that would be about 28, just shy of $2,900 total.
And that's specifically for holiday lighting.
Specifically for Christmas lighting.
These figurines, are they going on the ground in the park proper? Or
To be quite
inside the
honest,
fence?
Yeah, inside, no, not inside.
Not inside the Doughboy
No.
fence, no?
To be honest, Sandy, I'm not really, were just kind of ideas we were tossing around as we were thinking
And have
about
some good anchors.
what we could do,
Right.
what we could do more in the park. So it's still in the thinking process, although we've got to nail it down shortly. So my goal is to meet briefly, get some ideas, come to you, and then we'll be off and running, so.
Yeah, let us know what you need. And I was thinking about this the other day too. I don't think it necessarily needs to be like lights, like specific light, but I know like you used to have the hoop and like the tunnels and stuff like that. So I think that could classify, infrastructure for the lighting.
Yeah.
I think that's all. If you have
Yeah,
money
the
for that
plan
kind
would
of
be to
thing.
put those up again, and then have the tree in the middle like we did
And the
before
fountain.
with the blue lights and the fountain. And then, like I said, not every tree, but strategically some other trees having, we haven't decided yet, but having lights in those trees. And then, so we're still kind of brainstorming that, so I'll come back to you with that.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my question.
You said before the parade you wanna do something in the park. Will some lights be on at that time?
The lighting, I'm not sure, Leonard.
Because we usually
That's
throw the
decided.
switch during the
The
parade.
switch is usually thrown during the parade, and
Yeah.
without getting into too much conversation, I had kind of wondered in my own mind, this is my own mind, not having talked with any committee members, about lighting the park up before the parade started. And so the lights would be on and as the parade went through. I don't know. There's everybody's in a different camp as to when to actually light the
I
fire.
just feel that before the parade, if there was a few lights on,
Yeah,
because like we're in darkness and all at once everything lights
Yeah.
up. And if you want to be doing something in the park before
Yeah.
and there's no Christmas lights,
yeah, so that might be a.
Maybe the trees and not the bridges or vice versa.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't have to be much, just,
All stuff to think about.
yeah.
Okay, as far as your two requests, the parade. Sorry if I missed it, but do you have a date?
Oh, so Christmas in Enosburg is always the first Saturday, so this year is December 3rd.
December 3rd?
Yep.
Okay, and I think what I would like is kind of the same deal, maybe a letter from the sheriff saying that you guys are good to go. That will cover our tracks on that, and then lighting in the tree. Anybody have an issue with
They
EBA
do all
lighting
their
tree?
own work and I've watched them do it. They're not in any danger when they put the lights in the tree.
So,
When I
Green light
fall
on
off the
that.
step ladder, we are in the park. Other than that, we're okay.
So as far as obviously the letter from the sheriff, but assuming that is all good, then you're okay with the parade again?
Yep.
The Lions just wanted to start reaching out to,
sorry, we can do a green light,
okay.
yeah.
But yes, I will email Roger tomorrow and do that.
Perfect. All right.
Because no matter what with the election, he's still.
He's
That's
not
November,
ready.
But he's still through when
Year.
is the new, through the year? When does-
I think he said February.
January or February.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
February
good.
kind of officially retires.
Okay.
He'll want to come to the parade.
It's lots of rock.
All right, is that all we have for that?
I guess.
Look forward to
Thank you.
seeing some permits coming through. Thank you. All right, up next we have delinquent tax collectors requesting permission to retain lawyer Von Como for conducting future tax sales. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is, as some of the older board members know, this is a pretty routine item.
See,
Gotta do
that's
it
all,
every year.
it's been doing it anyway.
It's been working out. I hear he's been busy, but he's still
That would
getting
be
our stuff.
the one question I would have, because I've heard he's a little,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming Andy's probably reached out to him, so we should be good to go.
Did we have any tax sales last year?
Yes.
And did everything go fine?
As far as I know, everything went perfectly.
Well, can't complain with
So it
that.
should be- I think we have one.
Right. Hopefully none this year, but, okay. Heather move, do I have a second?
Second.
Sandy with the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, nay. All right, up next we have proposal for speed bumps on Orchard Street in the 2023 budget.
Might take another one.
I mean, I can talk to it, but you probably talk to the budget part. Again, just some requests from some folks in the village and looking into speed bumps down Orchard Street. We've priced them out. We have dollar amounts. So just looking to pursue to go down the avenue of doing it for one.
Are they removable or permanent?
They are, would be
Okay, for
removable
plows.
every winter.
Yep.
We'd be picking them up. Of course, we had a few folks from Water Tower come in again because the farm equipment's starting to pick up.
Oh, they're going down Orchard Street?
No.
Water tower.
Water Tower.
Oh, sorry,
So,
what, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? I'm eating corn on a constant basis. Where's the
So,
green part?
Sam, if you want to take a look at the speed bump info.
Yeah.
so we researched it, looked at the budget, looking to put a couple down through Orchard Street, and then, again, I don't know if we want to look at the budget in this year or not for a couple on Water Tower Road. But definitely starting with Orchard Street. I don't think it's a bad idea for sure, not only with current issues. I don't know if anybody knew we have had the sheriff pick up a couple folks on Orchard doing, this is early morning, but still 68, 67 on the dip.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I saw that actually Sunday, or it had to have been close to that.
And then,
Lovely white Mustang.
So yeah, and then again, you know, if things end up playing out with some of what might happen in the Main Street over the next few years, that could be a detour. So definitely going forward, we might want to have those in place if
Good
some of the
thinking.
work goes into process on Main Street. So
We don't have a solid number to give you, like what it would cost to do it, because there's a lot of details we have to decide.
Right, it
What
says,
type, what size,
Yeah.
all of that. So if it's something you want us to pursue, I can sit down with Gary and Ken. We actually have a budget meeting on Friday and kind of come up with the specific specs for what we would need and what would work for them, and then I can price it out. And then starting in October, budgets are going to be on our agenda anyway. We can
Would be good to know.
Yeah.
so right here, just
What's the-
really rough numbers, it says $70 to $130 per section, a section 6 feet, so I'm assuming it's
We've got
2 per lane per side.
24 feet, I think is what Gary
Yeah.
threw out at me. Yeah.
So, I'm talking 8 of them at the most.
That
So-
doesn't sound terrible.
No, sounds
Really
like it
not.
could be worse.
Surprisingly.
we're gonna resell the mufflers back to people and take that money. Take that money and put it in.
Good idea.
What's fun?
cats
Send them up to see me and be fine.
There you go.
Well, we figure your business would improve greatly.
Are these stuff rubber or?
Yeah,
We have
they're
like the specs right there. I believe they are.
Again, these are preliminary. We may
Yeah,
go
they're
different
rubber.
styles, different sizes, and
There's, anybody had conversations with Local Motion? Familiar with that organization? They do a lot of, like, they rent out like smart trailers, but they also lend out these speed bumps for a trial basis.
oh really?
Borrowing is good.
Yeah, they have, like, and then some, like, the demonstration we did a couple of years ago, we saw all the pictures of the walkability study. I wonder if we can see if we can get their director on our agenda next.
Was that local motion?
Local Motion.
Motion.
Do
Two
you have
separate
a con-
words, I believe.
Do you have the contact
I
number?
do, I've had like the briefest, like, occasionally I'm looped in onto emails, cause the work with the school. Let's see if I can pull it up,
If you
and
just
I
wanna
can forward it to you.
Yeah, just forward it to me if you can.
I think we would also need to budget for signs too, because
Yeah.
that would be a
Yeah.
surprise first day they're
We
up
would
for a lot
have
of
to put
people.
signs up.
How dare you not tell me?
Yeah.
That's where the Eli's
Yes.
business will increase. We don't put signs.
Eli will be out there taking signs
Sponsored
down.
by.
Sponsored by Eli. Get your struts here.
Yeah, as far as going forward though, what are we thinking? I didn't hear any solid no's, so
Definitely wanna look into
yeah,
that,
they might help.
and consider maybe more than one street.
Well, we figured that might happen,
I
but
guess
Well,
some-
then in that
get
case,
some
you can
solid
put them the
numbers
entire length of my street.
Yeah. We'll see how
Like
well
one
they
every
work.
10 feet.
And be a trial run on Orchard if,
Yeah.
and then we can look.
Orchard seems to be the worst offender.
It seems to be the non,
'Cause it's like-
stop, like it.
You
hasn't
turn the
improved any
corner
no
and I'm
matter
on
what.
the interstate. It's kind of, and you come by sticks and stuff and I'm all in until the top of the hill, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
again, I think it's Main Street and stuff, so you can get some noise and people get a little excited, but not 67, 68.
No.
Yes.
I mean, they're pulling people over. I'll leave his name out of it, but he mentioned that he got past there and then decided to speed up to see how fast he could get the other person going, and he was doing 55, so he's guessing they were doing 70 in a dip.
I got past.
And anybody in the road
Times happening recently.
doesn't have a clear.
People passing others in the depth
Yeah.
on that
I got
street.
passed on
It's
Main
happening
Street,
a lot.
Yeah, I just got past on Main Street,
Seriously?
Yeah.
It was a school morning the other day and I was at the bakery. And if I had had time to get in my car and follow them to see where they were going, I probably would have. If they weren't going 50 through by the park out of town, and it was like a school day, like 7:45.
I see that a lot when I'm walking to school in the mornings, the traffic, and some of them are heading to and from the school and some of them are just passing through the village.
I actually was going to email, or go see Sergeant Lynch and ask him what he does before and after school, not in a like smart way, but what he does before and after school, because
He's out and about.
I've seen
Yeah,
him
I know what he
patrol.
does. I meet him every morning on my way to work.
If he sat in the armory parking lot at the end of school, because I, obviously, where my office is, I hear them come onto and go out of town every day at 2:50. It's guaranteed, car after car after car. And he just, I don't know, but
The morning traffic.
I don't know what the answer is. I hope.
And is that part of his day in the morning before school? I mean, is that part of his curriculum?
6:30 in the morning, so.
I think,
I've seen him sitting, like, he'll sit by the dairy center sometimes.
But I mean, he's road working at that time
Yes,
of the day.
yeah, it looks like he's doing traffic at
Well,
that point.
we can revisit that with Roger, because the last time, I don't know if it was when we were having a joint meeting, I remember him saying he was gonna ask them to patrol before, when they're not on the school time, if you will.
Or just be on the corner when they're coming off of Dickinson, like be somewhere.
Be visible.
Mark LaRose told me last week or the week before, there was literally a truck and a car going down Main Street, and the truck had a kid.
Oh, that was the 16th. I have the video. Police have it now too.
Yeah, like, thank you. So like just going down Main Street like this, and the kid went flying.
No, I can tell you exactly what happened. The black sedan is coming up Main Street. It pulls over to the right by Pierre Letourneau's house, slows down a little bit. In the meantime, the white Ford pickup truck is coming behind it at a very high rate of speed, realizes that he's going to, and you can tell it's deliberately fishtail. Hanging onto the back of the tailgate is a pair of hands, which start swinging like this. The body flies off the pickup truck, goes at least from here to that exit door that's right there, slams into the pavement and the grass, and I'm thinking as I'm watching it, okay, now everybody's gonna scream and the ambulance is gonna come. Jumps right up off the ground, in which point a black SUV has come over on the other side of the road, runs across the road, gets into the black SUV, they take off up the street, and in the meantime, the same black sedan that came up in the first place is waiting in the street for the SUV to go, and then he's stuck, he's got traffic backed up behind him, but he's waiting for them to go, and then he goes. But Trooper Marchand has all of that.
There's lots of crazy
Sounds
stuff
like a busy
that's
day.
going on around.
I don't know how he didn't die, unless he was so hopped up that he didn't even know he was hurt, because he flew like a rag doll.
If you're gonna be dumb, you're gonna be tough.
You gotta be, I guess.
Anyway, sorry.
So,
All right, so as far as for speed bumps, yes, we'll look into that.
Yeah,
that's a
Have
good
them look
idea.
at more.
get some solid numbers.
And Abby, if I don't forward you that email tomorrow, just bug me. I can't
Okay.
find it while we're
That's fine.
talking.
You'll find it when you get home.
All right, managers minutes. Almost said managers
Is that smaller than manager's report?
Let's hope so.
well, I thought I had, no, that's something. So, our open house went well.
That's wonderful.
But we had, got good feedback from both the employees and from the folks that stopped by. Heard a lot of good stories from or everybody, but some older folks were telling us a lot of different stories in history that they really wanted to
Oh, that's great.
explain to us and tell us.
You probably learned some things you didn't know.
I did learn some things. Again, I think every department, if you will, between the light department, people are seeing the turbines and so forth, and then a lot of folks even found the wastewater interesting. We were definitely getting people in and around it.
Well, it's kind of a mysterious place for most of Enosburg.
Yeah.
My husband and son really enjoyed the tour of the wastewater.
It was pretty impressive to hear some of the questions that people had too. A lot of people were really curious and kind of intrigued by how does it all work, and it was pretty cool. I think it was the first family that I brought through for a tour. Their kids were in 5th and 2nd grade maybe, and the questions that they had about the whole process, and it was cool because our linemen were like, okay, where do you live? And then they looked up, we're down by the hydros, and they're like, okay, that line right there is what feeds your house. And like, it was really, really
That's
cool to have those conversations with even some of the kids to be excited about
It
learning.
was a
about
really, really smart thing for you guys to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people was interested. We did have some folks that came through that were like happy because they were like, well, we drive by it, and I've lived here all my life, but I never actually got to see it, so.
Yep.
That was kinda nice. So yeah, that's basically, it was, yeah, a good time. I wish it was, I mean, if I had a dream, it'd be a little busier, but it was, again, right from 9 to 1, it was consistent, we always had.
First time.
It was really
family or
steady,
two.
like, we didn't have a lot of downtime, like, Lori and I were kind of starting out with kind of doing the tours, and it was like, you'd get done one, and we'd have another group before we dispersed, it was a pretty steady show.
Well, and this has never been done before, so, you know, a lot of people probably went by the wayside and they wouldn't even have dreamt of it because they didn't think it was possible.
And it was great because we had all but, I think, 2 staff members that had previous commitments were not able to be here, but everyone
That's great.
was here, and
Perfect.
it was a lot of fun.
Good, thank you.
Go ahead.
I'd like to add that a lot of people enjoyed being able to cross onto the Bridge of Flowers
Yeah, that was one big.
from the light plane.
Don't worry, I've already got emails about that.
Yeah, we did get a request wishing that it could walk through. We may look into it, but again, one section is where we work on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There's a lot of logistics and liability stuff we need to cover before
So,
we're able to do that, but it's on the radar.
the other thing too, again, just as I look into things around the village, one thing I have started to look into, I met with the state on yesterday, and Amy from the Franklin County, one of the groups out of Franklin County down in St. Albans, just exploring the idea of possibly coming off the rail trail and up towards J-View.
Where on the rail trail?
Basically where the Carpenter's on, there's that, they have if you walk down through there, they have a gate now that goes into that pasture. So that would be the area.
Now the pond's gone there.
Yeah, so it'd come up off of that trail.
It'd be a good little trailhead, if you will, plenty of parking and
Yeah.
stuff, so.
Well, then I was thinking if you can, then we would, I don't know who yet, but develop all the way up through JV Drive, and then that could be the access over to the rec rec fields and the EMS building and so forth.
Right across the street, which is previous drive.
I did have met with John Ovitt at Franklin Foods. They have a crew coming in from Germany, because they are looking at some different things with this building here, in this factory. I guess it's going well. Very happy with things. They think that because Vermont reminds them of Germany, they're getting more of the eye than their plant in Arizona. So I advised him I'd be happy to go over and talk to them and speak to them, because it looks like they may be expanding in that area.
We can hope.
So the other idea too would be to get them their own driveway out through the J-View and save them going down through Pleasant Street.
That would be ideal.
Great.
So kind of.
So it's like it was kind of in the works anyway at one point.
It was talked about once, but
Yeah, they don't jump up and down at paying for it. They like the idea, obviously. I guess in my world, I would have it end there. I wouldn't allow it to go through back to East Street or Pleasant Street in any manner. Just have it as their access. But then also have that rail trail as well. And then just trying to tie in that into the village, if you will. I think I was a little disappointed. I think the gentleman I spoke with at the state wasn't, I'd ask if we, have to look at budgets and highway department, but if we could maintain that section, so when you leave Pleasant out to that area, which is not that super far, if we could continue to maintain it, keep it a little bit more knocked down, because he let me know they only mow it, they basically mow the roadsides twice a year and that's it.
and that's filled with the poisonous,
Yeah,
no,
Wild
the
parsnip.
yeah, wild parsnip. It's
Yeah.
loaded.
yeah, it's,
So I'd asked that, he at this time said no, but I may revisit that a bunch more times to talk to him slightly differently. Because, again, I think they're gonna get these proposals more and more as they turn on, or open up, I should say, a lot more of the rail trail system.
Yeah, we won't be the only ones.
Yeah, so kind of reviewing all that, and seeing if it can come to fruition to, I guess, tie in that part of town and access, walkability and bikeability to Hannaford's for some folks.
Yeah, Jen, to add to that, so I've been doing the Walking Wednesday as a volunteer for the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet students at Hanford, JV Drive, and we walk them down Pleasant. And the amount of times we have to cross with those students to get from JV Drive to the elementary school is just, you don't really think about it until you do the walking, because you have to cross the top of Pleasant Street, cross the sidewalk on that side of Upper Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to cross there, and then you have to come down, and then you either have to cross at the rail trail, or you have to cross again at Missisquoi, and then cross over Missisquoi again. So like if there was like anything that we can do to make it so that they're not like going back and forth across the road as much, would be very beneficial.
Yeah, and this way I think it just keeps people off of, some pedestrians off of Main Street, the kids or whatever. That can just,
Keeps trucks off of Pleasant.
yeah, it keeps trucks off Pleasant, so. And again, I don't know if it's the new truck drivers of the world, but I just hear there's more fire hydrants and so forth getting hit than they have in the
Well,
past.
and
I can attest
I
to
swear to God, every truck that they make 12 feet longer than the one they made before.
Yeah.
They just keep getting bigger and bigger
I had
and
to wait
bigger.
on Main Street the other day for a guy that couldn't swing by being in. He had to back up and start over.
Well, which is interesting too, because I've gotten 2 calls, because it's posted.
Yeah, yeah.
And they call and they say, can we go down here? And I'm like, oh yeah, we can, I guess, but, so there's no way to get here without going on a posted road.
Right.
So,
Ask a question about walkability, and that since you're talking about it, the junior high soccer team practices, boys and girls practice at the rec fields. So they're walking from school every day up to the rec fields. Is that whole sidewalk project dead in the water? Is there anything in the works of safe walkability to the rec fields? Because when we've had conversation, I've obviously Natalie walks up there, so I've been like, okay, cross here, walk on the left side, go up, cross up Water Tower a little way, just trying to
so what,
save crossing spots.
that's what, and that's, I guess where this would tie in. So keeping them off Main Street, I'm trying to read back on what's happened. My understanding is the state wasn't super excited about a light there. But I'm thinking if we were able to extend J-View Drive down into the cheese plant, and then with Tractor Supply, they would re-look at having a light, so then you're coming off the rail trail, up this little trail, and then you're able to have a light and crosswalk and get over to those fields a little more safely. That's kind of the way I envisioned it. As far as, I did ask that question, if, let's say for a second that we could go and do all that tomorrow, the grant we have now wouldn't help to support any of that. It only is to support what the original plan is. So we're kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit on that.
The other concern that I like, I like the idea, but my initial reaction to using that as like a good pedestrian access is yes, but then I wonder about wintertime. And 2 things, one would be like, getting snow removal, but also it's actually a snowmobile access.
Yeah, it's a vast trail.
So it wouldn't necessarily like help pedestrian traffic up in that direction.
Oh, you
Year
would
round.
walk the rail trail?
Yes,
Oh,
to start. Again, I would think maybe, I don't know how many people would be using it more in the winter time.
Right. You
But
wouldn't be
even
having a
if-
rec field.
even
Yeah.
if there was some way, so they walk up Pleasant now, and they cross by Leonard's house, and then they walk on the left side, just because I think it's easier to cross Water Tower than it is to walk down the sidewalk by Hannaford's and try to cross somewhere in there. So even if there was a safe way to utilize that sidewalk on the right-hand side to get across, I don't know.
Yeah, we've kind of thought of every possible
I know,
pedestrian crossing in that area, and it's
it's crazy.
Everything has
there doesn't seem to be a
problems.
good answer, and so that's why we haven't done anything, because we'd rather take our time and figure out a good answer than just build something that doesn't work.
Well, that was my question though, it's in the thought process of,
Still on the radar.
okay.
And actually, back to the open house, I probably got 10 folks that you know, in talking about things in the village and so forth, that was definitely a hot topic of how do we manage that.
Well, that's a big
Forward.
thing, because, I mean, you have the rec fields there and there's such potential
Yeah.
to really, to do something with that area, but it's gotta be walkable safely.
It's just on the wrong side of Main Street.
You have to move the
If the
road.
cheese plant and the rec field just.
Do a little shoving.
Right down there though, you don't want that one.
So that's, again, just reviewing all of that as well. This is just kind of a heads up what's coming type of thing, policy changes. So we did ask a few meetings ago about a request that we discussed with the HR lawyer. So we did kind of start that ball. And there are a lot of things that need to be adjusted in our policy. So that will be coming down the pipe. I guess Lori's gonna set up another conversation with the HR lawyers and kind of go through what, he kind of already understands what we need to make for changes. Some of them, I wouldn't say are simple, but like one, the sexual harassment language has to be at the beginning of a policy, not buried somewhere in the 5th page or whatever. So there's just some like little things like that that have to be adjusted. She's gonna prepare a full outline of what we have to do and the changes we have to make. There are some things that we have to change per federal and state laws. So she's in process of getting that all together and getting us an outline, and we'll probably be presenting it here in the next meeting or two.
Okay.
As far as our policy changes, and then some of the changes that we've I guess agreed upon, we have to go back and revisit, like the vacation policy. We have to go back through the because again, that's I learn of things almost daily of, well, we thought it was this way, it was done this way the past 100 years. Well, it's not true that
100 years is up.
100 years is up. It's not true that, you know, I was explaining that if we have our policy and then there's the union policy, that it's trumped. The union folks basically get to choose. If this is a better policy, they get to go with this. If this is the policy in ours, they get to go with that. That's not true. So we do have to make some adjustments to the union policy with some of the changes we've made. So
Okay.
more to come, but just give me a heads up. We are working on that, and it is going forward. That's all I had as far as manager meetings. Next.
Thank you, John.
Concise report.
All right, let's move on to other business. So what do you have for other business?
Rachel has something, and then I have 2 super quick things.
And I have a quick thing too.
Sorry.
So whoever wants to go first.
What's that?
Rachel, wanna start?
I would like to start. Thank you for having me, and I kind of came in on short notice, so I appreciate you squeezing me in tonight's meeting. About 5 to 7 years ago, our village voters did amend our budget before the vote was approved to include surveillance cameras within our village. The voters did approve it. It was included in the budget, but it didn't go anywhere. So I'm here tonight to ask for reconsideration of that happening. Knowing what's going on all over the county, all over our state, and in our own community, I think it's time that we stand up and do that. We need to do it for ourselves, we need to do it for each other. I'm very much an advocate for this. I'd like to help make this happen. I'd like to be on a search committee to make that happen. We put money forward in our village for beautification, we need to do it for safety. It has become a problem when midday, somebody's coming down up through Bismarck Street, does donuts on Main Street, in front of a child, being held by the hand of an adult, ready to cross the street. I witnessed it. And that was on a Wednesday back in the summer. I jumped up,
I looked out the window, I was able to identify the license, the registration plate, and call law enforcement. I mean, those are my eyes. If we had surveillance, we could know what's going on 24 hours a day, we could work with our law enforcement. In talking with other towns people, talked to somebody in St. Albans today, and they have a lot of help with their cameras, and they're able to help identify a lot of crime. We know what's gone up on in Richford. Even like a couple years ago, there was I don't know if it was a cow or a bull that was stolen. And within 12 or 24 hours, they found out who it was, because the person came down with the only trailer, the only truck that towed that animal. And they went to that person's place and found the animal. Just an example. We have people that are helping themselves right now so that they can quickly sell something, whether it's ATVs or maybe tractors. They're going in people's backyards, they're going in their sheds, their garages, opening up car doors in case they're open. We need to help ourselves, to help law enforcement, so that we can take care of some of this crime. And it will cost less money to have the surveillance cameras than it would to have more law enforcement. So if we work together, we can make this happen. So I did some phone calls in the last month, have some ideas, and I'd like to work with somebody or 2 or 3 or 4 people on this. See what we can do. And I know our voters will be more than glad to have this happen, because a lot of people are talking about it, but they don't know what to do.
We were actually just talking about it in our office last week.
Yeah, so.
Cameras don't lie.
No, they don't, and I think that's a good idea. Budget season's coming up, and we can include some numbers. You say the voters did approve,
They did approve it.
and so there is money specifically for
There
surveillance
was
cameras?
back then, and it got reabsorbed into the budget.
Okay.
It did get reabsorbed.
Well, I don't know, I assume it did. We had people on the board that were poo-pooing this,
Okay.
and they did go, one particular person went to another town, asked about what it was, worked with, I think, Officer Levier, was explained all about how it worked, came back to the board and said they're not happy with it. And that wasn't true. So I talked to one of those former board members today. And we know that happened because I guess it was on the cable access.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, if there was
run for
money,
minutes and see what happens.
please, yeah, if
Yep.
there was money appropriated, it shouldn't,
There was,
it usually doesn't get reabsorbed.
well, I assumed it did. It
No.
was like $3,500, perhaps $3,000. It will take more than that. I'm sure there are grants out there.
At that
for-
time, one of the places that was being talked about in question when that vote came up was to put them in the park. I remember that very specifically because we were having an ungodly amount of trouble in the park at the time.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was discussed.
Well, when we have,
This
I
is-
hate to put this on the students, but it hasn't happened so much since school started, that back in the springtime and all winter, you could tell when school got out and the racing up and down Main Street. I mean, there's no reason for that. It was the same vehicles. There's a white pickup, there's a white sedan, there's a black sedan. I know some of the number plates, but we need to have more than just witness people.
Yeah, it can't be hearsay.
We need more evidence. So, Border Patrol had a lot of help up in Richford with the Richford surveillance cameras, and they actually caught a lot of people that were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing.
I will say when I dispatched for the Franklin County Sheriff's was right when Richford installed their cameras, and they actually gave us access to their cameras. So while I was dispatching, I could log into the camera system. And if there was an incident or just for safety, when we had an officer on a call, depending on where they were, I could actually in real time watch what was going on.
And in Richford also, to add to that, the officers, if they were up there, they had access to the cameras.
Yep.
And when they were, like down by the bridge, for instance, they knew what was going on on the playground, because there were cameras up there. So it's been very helpful.
Yeah, that could be a huge tool,
Yeah.
for sure.
I personally had a very negative experience this last week. I had somebody that was uninvited in my backyard,
Me too.
and we share backyard, so to speak.
Came through my backyard's fenced in. Not quite sure how he got in my backyard.
I found out where he was camping, going to, the place, the residence that he went to. If there'd been more cameras, we would have seen the front of his face,
Yeah.
rather than what my memory was. But he was definitely scoping out.
And two of us filed reports
The Furlan residence,
where a big tractor sits.
and that's just.
That's where he was,
an
right beside the tractor when I realized there was someone in my backyard.
example. Yeah. And then he walked all the way down Main Street. He didn't know I was behind him, to see where he was going.
Do you know where, cause I can definitely do some research and look into this, cause I did work on, the ones in St. Albans. Not the cameras themselves, but
Yeah.
I worked on the internet access for them. I'm just trying to think of what we would, as far as storage and so forth, and, you know, cause no one would be monitoring these.
Well, that's where you work with your security system people, and they will give you that advice. That's all part of figuring out which company you're gonna go with, who are you gonna buy it from. For instance, I think up in Richford, they have Sunray Security, and I think they're the ones that installed it and gave them all the instructions of what to do and everything. And there's a place, like, I think the motherboard or whatever you call it is in the town clerk's office. So that's the main spot. And they have certain people that are in charge, and then other people that have the password. And I don't know how many cameras they have. I think they're 3, but I'm not sure. You know, Abby?
It's been a while. When I first
Yeah.
started, they only had 1 or 2, and I think they've expanded since then, so I don't know what
I'm
the
not
final
sure.
count is right
And they've
now.
had theirs for, what, about 8 years or more?
Longer
10?
than that, I got done dispatching there in 2012, so
It's been
they were
a while.
installed probably 2009, 2010.
And I'm sure there are grants for these. I mean, this is a safety issue. I'm sure there are ways that we could do matching somehow.
I think it'd be something to look into. And I know that the town had mentioned wanting to put up cameras at the Opera House parking lot as well.
I think that's, I just actually talked to Pierre today, and that is still on
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of
radar. They
activity
authorized
over
Jesse to.
So maybe we can get together somehow and, like, if we have the
Make it a-
server or whatever,
It's a
and
joint venture.
yeah, they can have their own
I mean, it's-
camera, whatever, yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
we're all
reach
in
out
this
to
together.
To Richford and St. Albans to see.
How do we make it safer for more people to come to our community? More inviting, safe place. You know, this is a wonderful county that we live in. In case you all don't know. I
We
chose
must
to
be
come
guessing,
back-
that's why we're here.
Well, I chose to come back to this part of the county, of the state, because I thought that was the best part of the state to live in. And I still haven't changed my mind. So I'd like to help make it better.
Thank
For
you.
sure. Yeah, and I appreciate it. Appreciate showing up.
So that's my, maybe 10 minutes. Thank you for having me. Appreciate your,
Thank you for coming and letting us know how you feel.
Thank you.
The information that you have, we appreciate it.
good, thank you. Let me know what I can do to help.
So as far as budget items to look into?
Yep.
Cameras would be
That's my list.
a very good choice. All right, other business.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Well, that was one of mine, so I'll give you the next one then, or mine's really quick.
Okay.
So just Brent Garrow from Lions Club reached out after the agenda was made. He just asked that the Lions Club's kind of, I guess, marketing themselves, trying to get some new members. So they were wondering if they could put plaques on some of the things in the park, for example, that they've done or donated or worked on. Just kind of like stating the Lions Club built this or did this. So they're just asking if they can put these plaques up. And again, it's kind of a marketing or trying to recruit new members type of thing. So that was his request, or their request to Lions Clubs.
Do you know what it was specifically? What projects they were?
The bandstand, I know was one. There was one other one in the park. I can't remember what he said, but I know the band, well, the bench, they do the bench. Is it a bench?
The benches were all donated by the Lions Club
Yeah.
to start with.
The wooden ones,
They've all been repainted.
So the benches, the bandstand, so they just want like little plaques saying they did
Well, in
these.
most communities, park benches that are like the ones in the wooden ones in the park, almost
Say-
all of them are donated and they all have, they're only about like this, but they all have little plaques, little brass plaques on the back that are screwed
Donated by
on.
such and such.
I mean, they're, unobtrusive and they look fine.
And that's what they're looking for, just something small that says it donated by the Lions Club.
I believe the Lions donated the lumber to build over the bandstand when they put the roof
When they
on.
put the roof on.
I think we donated, and it's the school, I think, that did it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Do you have something?
I was just wondering if like we could like preview the plaques before. Just
That's always a good idea.
just to maintain aesthetics.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to see a proof.
Right.
Alright, so I'll tell them to come back with a proof and.
Yeah.
Should
Sounds
be
good.
good. That's all I had. Yeah, Patty.
Couple quick things, just kind of want your guys' official nod to move forward on a couple grants that are out there right now. One is the Upper Missisquoi Trout Rivers Wild and Scenic Committee has a grant between $1,000 and $5,000. I was actually sent this one by Catherine Bennett in regards to the Bridge of Flower and Lights. So I have a rough draft because it's due at the end of the week. I'm gonna have Sandy proof it for me. But just kind of the green light, the thought process is to kind of help with like the entrance going onto the bridge. It's kind of taken over by weeds. There looks like at one point there were perennials and stuff planted, but to maybe make that a little more appealing. And after the open house, and I've had a couple of people actually stop in and have some good chats about the bridge. There's a big interest in kind of the history of this area. So maybe looking into getting some like little plaques, stands that we can attach to the bridge, but that showcase maybe we had the massive flood in 1927 that took out the bridge, and pictures up there.
I think that bridge is one of the few, very, very few sand-filled bridges in North America.
Yeah, just the history with, I mean, we still have part of the foundation of one of the old flour mills that's still visible, just kind of showcase some of the history of this area, because there is a lot of cool history just in this little corner, but and then there's been talk about maybe collaborating with like the library or rec department and doing like maybe like a yoga class on the bridge or like a reading group meet on the bridge, or those are some things that are on the works. So this application is due Friday. I'd like to, if you guys are okay with me moving forward, to move forward with that. And on that, just kind of utilizing the bridge more. I mean, we have the pumpkin decorating. I actually have in my works decorating it for Christmas as well. We have a staff member that has some oversized Christmas trees. He's willing to donate a couple. So be careful if you let me run wild. It's gonna look like
Run, Abby,
over
run.
here. But I'd like to do maybe some simple, even if it's just white lights, but kind of showcase it a little bit more. And on that note, I'm also kind of pushing to put a bucket truck in the holiday parade as well. So just FYI, things like that. I did throw that out at, I forget what meeting we had, and I told them we could even do it Grinch themed because there's a bunch of Grinches that work here, unfortunately.
That's okay, that'll work.
But, so with your permission, I'd like to kind of move forward with this grant, just to try to dress up the bridge a little bit more, and there's some plans in the works, if you guys are okay with maybe utilizing our bridge and showcasing it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I think that sounds
It's
good.
where the village started. We need to showcase it. That's a wonderful idea.
And the other one that I'm looking at, again, I think Catherine Bennett and I together might be a bad combination of coming up with ideas, but she did approach me and I think it's a good idea. Some of our crosswalks, about making them kind of more vibrant, a little more noticeable, maybe doing a different color to have it stand out a little bit
The
more.
lime green deal?
So,
Looks like we've been-
and then conveniently, like the next day after we were talking about it, I got an email from an AARP contact. They have a grant that is open. It's for a winter Vermont Livable Community Program. It's their winter placemaking. And to see, I did reach out to see, I'm thinking Main Street and around the school. The crosswalks adding like a neon green essentially, so it's more visible
Here's
when
your
you're
green
walking.
sidewalks.
Huh,
When you're
Imagine
walking
that.
around. I didn't print off the pictures, but we have some cool pictures. It's kind of staying with the green with the Enosburg kind of colors for the schools.
AARP would love Enosburg Falls.
And this is just one of 2 grants I'd like to apply for them. Another one we'll talk about when we get into budgets, but this is again, deadline's in a couple weeks. And if I get the okay with this one, I am gonna need a couple letters of support. I know Catherine's willing to write one. If, Sandy or Heather or somebody who's a trustee member, if we could write one, I may force John to write one. I do have to get a couple letters of support, so that's also why I'm mentioning
I
it.
would definitely write one for
Okay,
you.
Catherine said she'd be willing to write one too.
We got it made already.
It's up to $4,000. It should cover a good portion of it, but it's just another fun start with just kind of Main Street and around the school, and then we can see about maybe expanding it.
When's the award date?
I don't think it's until later in the year, closer to December, I believe.
So we would know by budget season if we got it.
Yes.
So let's just say we were awarded 4,000 and it's gonna cost 8, we could budget for an additional 4.
Which we typically budget for some anyway, but yeah. Yeah, and I do have a
Matching
call.
funds?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they matching funds?
Nope, there's no matching funds required for this, so.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sharon.
John.
And like I said, I did confirm with them, this does fall kind of right in our alley of this program, so.
Did
Perfect.
you confirm that we're allowed to do those colors? There was a document, I was glancing at it last week. I needed more coffee to read through it properly because it's very legalese. But like they have very the specific requirements on colors.
Yeah, I believe the green, it does fall into it, but I do need 100%. I have reached out to AOT, I haven't heard back yet, just to confirm that.
Not the state. They're gonna tell you no.
They say no to everything.
I will forward you that document as well.
But it's not plain white, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but as far as I
They had
know, we
some-
should be,
Yeah, they had some
Okay, to move
interesting
forward with
stuff
that.
about
Let me know if I want to dump
colors.
something in the paint.
Oops.
It is our road.
Fall.
so we're looking at, if we do all the ones kind of along Dickinson Ave where the school, just where their entrances and stuff, we're looking at probably 16 sidewalks. I drove around tonight and counted.
That's
We did
16 crosswalks?
Crosswalks, yes, sorry.
That's 16 spots of safety.
But it would be that'd be pretty much all of Main Street and then going around Dickinson and whatnot. So it'd be not all of them, but it would
Do
be
we have all that new paint and then all those new flashing signs?
You can walk anywhere.
We could crawl across the street. Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. But there'll be pictures of us doing it. There we go.
Thank you.
Yes, Abby, good, wonderful, thank you.
You guys miss all the action down here when they're fishing. So when the teenagers are fishing down
Oh my
here,
God.
then another high schooler or maybe someone that just recently graduated has to show off. So we get nice little shows right here on the corner because the kids are out there fishing and.
Yep.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I definitely know.
They go all the way down, they start way up there, end up down here.
Yeah, we get it a lot down through here.
So one thing that I just thought about when you were mentioning plaques by the bridge, have we ever thought about putting a historical marker there?
It's a really, really good thought.
Because that building is historical, right?
Yes.
The bridge is.
The bridge is
Yeah,
historical.
the bridges too. So maybe
I was
something to
thinking
look
about that
into.
when I was looking at some of the different plaques that they have when I was putting together my budget for the grant.
Put one by the eco park on the lawn there, and people can stop
Yeah,
in.
because I know
and
we
read.
have a little plaque, but maybe something a little bit
Yeah, one of the
more.
big ones with the,
Yeah.
big pole.
Yeah,
It's a long, drawn-out process, but
Yeah, it is. I know it's not gonna happen overnight. but-
definitely we can
Because I know a lot of people too, they like to go on like historical market tours where they'll drive around the state. Maybe this time of year, look at the leaves and drive specifically to check out those markers.
And we might as well be on that.
And
We had
there's a
it.
few more in the village, so we might as well.
We had a gentleman stop in the other day actually about the bridge. He's a snowbird that's up here during the summer months, but he says for some company he's connected with people from Massachusetts when they come up to meet with him and he has meetings. This is one of the places that he brings them, because it was really funny because he kind of came in to tell me that the bridge looked terrible and I was like, when's the last time you've been out there? And it was prior to us pulling and replanting and everything. So it was really, really kind of funny because I was listening to him tell Psyche about it and then he ended up in my office and we chatted about it. But it was just very interesting to see he brings a lot of tours, like a lot of groups of people to the bridge. And he's willing to also put together some volunteers to help with the weeding and maintenance and some of that as well. So that's to be continued. I'm working to get the community a little more involved with some of that as well.
It's a beautiful space. It's encouraging to me.
All right.
To circle back real quickly, because we talked about the crossing a lot, I had a community member suggest that we put flashing crosswalk lights up at the Pleasant and Elm Street crossing for the reasons we were just talking about, because so many kids are coming and crossing right there. And her example was specifically in the morning school hours of just people zooming by and kids crossing the street.
And there are a lot of tiny ones that
Lots
go
of
down
tiny
through
ones.
there.
I am trying to look to see what we can do for grants for that as we approach the budget season, because I agree, I think we need more signs. I know we have one that's gonna go on the Main to Dickinson crosswalk when that's done in the spring. But I think it was 14, almost 15,000 for the 2 sets, so we're talking, 7 to 8 grand per set.
It's not gonna happen
Plus-
overnight, but
Plus the signs, but, so I am
But we've
kinda,
started.
a couple, we may have to roll out a couple a year, see what
Yeah.
funding opportunities are out there.
We've made a beginning.
we could even make a map with a list of all the places.
That wouldn't be a half bad idea to kind of have a game plan and we can strategically plan out and then, because we're definitely searching for grants to help
Yeah.
with this.
For sure.
In Enosburg, elementary school has signed up to be a safe routes to school community, so that kind of connection lends with the grants, and Melissa McKinstry, the librarian, is the point person at the school.
Perfect. I know Amy Brewer came to the open house and we had a chat about that and she sent us some documents, so we're trying to see how we can pull all that together to benefit us when we go for funding.
Yep.
All right, any other business? If there's no other business, I'll hear a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations in which premature public knowledge may compromise a position in the municipality.
I move. Second.
I heard Eli first and I heard Sandy second. All those in favor say aye.
Thank you,
Those
Rachel.
opposed, no.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.